Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing us another fantasy football video. In this one, I'll be going over players that I'd be looking to trade for ahead of Week 4. We've obviously gone through 3 weeks so far of the regular season. We've learned a lot, and I think there's a lot of things that have sort of surprised us. And there's obviously a long way to go the entire rest of the season here. In general, most of us have 11 weeks left before we get to the fantasy playoffs. So no matter what your record's sitting at, if you're 0-3, if you're 2-1, 3-0, it doesn't really matter a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. You just got to make sure your roster keeps getting better and better, and you're going to be okay. Even if you're 0-3, and if you're 3-0, you got to make sure you keep getting better, so that way you can stay at the top of the league. So, trading is one of the best ways to do that. It's one of my favorite things in fantasy football. I am that guy in every single league, really going out there to try and send a bunch of trade offers, try and wheel and deal and get things done as much as I can, really. So, this is actionable advice that I'm acting on myself. Hopefully you guys find it helpful. If you guys do have any specific trade questions, I'd love seeing what you guys are doing there. So let me know in the comments below. I'll be happy to give you guys my feedback. And, it's just a lot of fun for me to see what kind of trades you guys have cooked up as well. So, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's just get into it here. Starting things off with a guy who's been on the list 2 weeks in a row now, but Tetairoa McMillan is a guy that I'm still certainly looking to trade for. I just think he's an elite player. He really does pass the eye test. Just if you watch him play football, he's clearly a really damn good wide receiver in the NFL. Just hasn't really broken out in the box score yet, but I don't think that it's just a matter of time before that happens. The Panthers are not a team that's going to shut out teams very often. It's certainly yikes for Michael Penix. The Panthers are not a team that should be holding teams to 0 points very often. They are a team that's likely going to be trailing, and I think you're going to see a game script a lot more similar to what they had 2 weeks ago versus the Cardinals, where they were just down and in catch-up mode the whole game. You're going to see that a lot more often than what you're going to see last week, where they were just up and able to just not do a whole lot on offense. So we're going to see some monster games here coming up from McMillan as they have to air it out a lot more. He has yet to score a touchdown, which that's not going to be sticky. Touchdowns are certainly a little bit of a fluky stat. Then you pair that with the fact that we know he's a monster just from a freakishly athletic standpoint. He's a huge, big-bodied wide receiver. He is going to certainly have some big plays, have some touchdowns. He's going to have some really monster fantasy games, and I want him on my roster before those happen, so definitely go get him if you can. This guy might be a little bit cheaper here, and honestly, there are some leagues I've seen him get dropped at this point, so he's certainly a guy that I'd be looking to go grab. But Matthew Golden, the usage is continuing to trend up. I know we haven't really seen him break out in the box score yet either. But this is another example of a rookie wide receiver that's passing the eye test for me. Just looks like a good player. He's certainly going to be the deep threat for this offense, right? And that's what you want. He's going to get valuable targets, a little bit of a variance in terms of what his weekly output's going to be. We've sort of seen that. He's just been a few overthrows away by Jordan Love from having a couple of monster games already. He could have easily had a couple of 70-yard touchdowns already this year if Jordan Love could just put it on him just a little bit better. On top of that, you've got the injury, obviously, to Jaden Reed and Tucker Kraft. He should be playing going forward. He played last week, but he didn't look 100% to me in week 3. It just opens up more opportunity here for Matthew Golden to further establish himself as the clear one in this offense. And if you're looking for a get-right game for a passing game, week 4 versus Dallas, certainly could be his coming out party. We just saw Dallas in back-to-back weeks get carved up. They gave up 450 yards to Russell Wilson, who got benched 9 days after. Caleb Williams had the first really good game of his entire career. Dallas is not good at all on defense. Matthew Golden is going to likely have a 50-yard touchdown this week, and at that point, it's going to be really hard to buy him. So you should start him this week if you have him, probably. And if you don't have him, I think he's a guy that I would definitely look to try and trade for right now. My favorite buy of the week at the running back position is going to be Bucky Irving. You really just can't ask for more usage out of him than what we've seen so far. Has gotten a little bit unlucky in terms of the touchdown department. You saw Rachaad White sort of steal the touchdown at the end of the game 2 weeks ago. They sort of passed for all their touchdowns today too, so you haven't really seen Bucky go out there and just have that massive game that we know he can. He looks really good on the NFL field, though, right? He doesn't look like he's dropped off by any means. He still looks like one of the best running backs in the NFL, and when you pair that with a good offense, with a ton of usage, we're going to get some massive fantasy games out of Bucky, and pair that with the Evans injury that, it's only going to be 2 to 3 weeks, it sounds like, but that's going to force even more action in the passing game for Bucky. That's really typical when you see wide receivers go down or get traded in the offseason. You just see running backs get targeted a little bit more. The guys downfield don't get open. The checkdowns become more common. Bucky should be super involved as a pass catcher, which is really one of the things you would have been concerned about with him coming into the year. You thought that Rachaad White might steal a lot of that, and Rachaad White's still playing some, but this is very clearly his backfield. He's going to be a true workhorse running back for this team, and I know it's a little bit early to look at playoff matchups, but it's something I like to peek at when I'm trading for a player right now. Weeks 15 through 17, Bucky gets Atlanta, Carolina, and Miami. So that gets me pretty excited. Those are 3 teams that you can certainly put up some points on. not scary matchups. Also, 3 games that we should expect Tampa Bay to win, and then just be able to lean on their running game. Feel really great about those 3 matchups. Bucky could certainly be a guy that we look back on as a league winner by the end of the season here. Next, this is going to be maybe a controversial one, but Marvin Harrison Jr. for me is still a buy. The main argument here for me is just that people are fed up with him. I think that people are, again, sort of overreacting just a little bit in terms of just how upset they are with the performance we've gotten out of Marvin Harrison. I had a good week 1. I have not had good performances from him in weeks 2 or 3. Week 2, obviously, a game where they had a defensive score. They got up really early, just didn't really do anything on offense. It's tough to really take a whole lot away from what Marvin Harrison did. Like, people aren't freaking out that Justin Jefferson didn't do a whole lot this week, and, that's just because the defense got them up a bunch and didn't have to do anything. So, like, when more established players go out there and have games where their team just dominates and they don't need to throw the ball, people don't really freak out about it. But because we have so many question marks still around Marvin Harrison, it gets used as a talking point against him, and I get that. Then obviously week 3 was not good. You had the brutal drop, could have easily been a massive play, and then you had I won't call it a drop, but it was a very catchable ball he had in the end zone and got bailed out because there was a defensive pass interference that was not against him, by the way. It was against, I think, Zay Jones, like 5 yards away from him. Harrison should have come down with that. And the thing is, he's a good enough player that he's going to come down with those going forward. I'm not really worried about him from a talent standpoint. He's not Malik Nabers, right? Like, the Cardinals are probably going to look back on the draft last year and say they wish they took Nabers, but he's still a really good wide receiver. He's the clear wide receiver 1 in this offense. We don't hate Arizona as an offense in general, right? There are a lot worse offenses in the NFL. This is a team that should at least be middle of the pack, if not better, in terms of total points scored this season. On top of that, they're likely to lean on the passing game even more going forward with the James Conner injury. That should open up more opportunities here for Marvin Harrison. There's no competition behind him, either like Michael Wilson, Craig Dortch, Zay Jones. None of those guys are going to push him for target competition, right? So, like, you're looking at Marvin, the 20 to 25% target share range, can utilize downfield. McBride's obviously the number 1 target in this offense. But, like, Harrison's a guy that's a good player, big body, could certainly have a lot of touchdowns again this season. I'm just not super worried about it going forward. I think Marvin Harrison is still going to be a solid wide receiver 2 for us, and I think there's a lot of people that are benching him on their rosters. You probably don't have to pay a whole lot for him right now, and I do think there's upside. And again, he's the kind of player with a name that even if you buy him and don't really believe in him, if he comes out and has a really big game, which is going to happen at some point because he's still a talented player on a good offense, just sell him then, because there's people that are going to be believers in him, kind of like myself. Like, I don't want to call myself a truther or anything, but like, I do still think he's a good player. I do still think he's going to have a good fantasy career, and there are people like me and people who like him even more than I do that will certainly pay up for him right after he has that big game, even if you don't personally believe in him. So I'm still in on Harrison. Just see how free he is, because I think people in general are really ready just to move on from him right now. Another guy making the list 2 weeks in a row. I mentioned last week it might take a little bit for Travion, and I didn't realize it might be just this quick for Travion to come out and be this good. But the thing is, Travion's an incredibly talented player. We know that at some point this season we're going to see a lot of fantasy production out of this guy, and the other backs in this offense did everything they possibly could last week just to give this job to Travion as fast as possible. Mike Vrabel did come out and voice belief in Ramondre, said they need him. But he's got a known fumbling issue. It's not like this is a guy who, like Travion, who's never fumbled in his entire life, and then comes out and has a 2-fumble game, or even Derrick Henry, right? Like, I'm not worried about the Ravens benching Derrick Henry after 3 weeks of fumbling, because he doesn't have that history of having fumbling issues, and there's nobody behind Derrick Henry that could go out there and, push him for touches over the course of the season. But with Ramondre, Travion's already the better player. And then you pair that with the fact that he's not actually just tanking weeks for this team. So, like, Travion's the guy that they're going to have to give usage to. If you look at the snap shares after the second fumble or the third fumble, really, because Antonio Gibson got touches after Ramondre. Right after that, it was like an 80% snap share for Travion Henderson. So, I don't think that's going to be sticky. I think you're probably going to see it's closer to like a 55 to 65% snap share for Travion, but that's plenty for a guy that's as explosive as him, and I still think that will trend up over the course of the season as well. I think he could get to like 75 to 80% touch range if we get if we see that really high end production, right? Because the concern would have been that with how well Ramondre played early on in the year, it would have been just that even if Travion came out there and played really well, as long as Ramondre is playing well, then they're not going to give Travion workhorse usage. Like, no matter how good Jahmyr Gibbs is, David Montgomery's good enough that he's not going to go away. But in this backfield, that certainly could happen. We could see Travion come out and just absolutely dominate touches and become a true workhorse player in this offense. And it could easily happen this week. You've got a Week 4 matchup against Carolina. I won't be shocked at all if Trevion just goes nuclear in that game, and then it just wheels up for him the entire rest of the season. So I think now is maybe your last chance to buy him, because it still wasn't a good fantasy day for him in Week 3, and I know people are probably going to buy into the same narrative that I'm talking about here, that Week 4 should be the week that we see him be the true starter in the offense, but it's an easy narrative to argue against as well, right? Because you could just say, hey, they said they believe in Ramondre. It took a fumble by Gibson to get Henderson on the field. Like, there are certainly some negatives here, but I just believe in the talent. I think it's only a matter of time, and I think we sort of got that accelerated just because of all the fumbles in Week 3. And as always, I like to try and get a quarterback and a tight end into this video. Tough for me to find a tight end this week, so I'm just going to talk about a quarterback, and I'm going to talk about another Cardinal. But I think Kyler Murray is a great trade target right now. Should pretty much be free in drafts or into the trade market right now. Like, I've seen people talk about potentially dropping Kyler Murray. There's not a whole lot of excitement surrounding him at all, but the reality is at the quarterback position, you basically have 3 quarterbacks we trust on a weekly basis. You've got Josh Allen, Lamar, and then I guess kind of Jalen Hurts, although it's kind of been a little bit messy so far this season. Then after that, like, you obviously lost Jaden Daniels for at least last week, maybe this week. Joe Burrow's down for the year. Mahomes still not really a reliable weekly asset. Bo Nix has really struggled. Baker's missing Mike Evans. Kyler's been bad. Like all the guys that we drafted in the top 10 outside of those like top 3 superstar guys have been bad really so far for fantasy. Caleb Williams, the quarterback 3 on the season right now. Nobody has really stepped up and been really good for us for fantasy so far. So I still think there's a clear path here for Kyler to potentially squeak his way into like the top 5 at the position by the end of the year. I'm not saying I'm projecting him like that, but he's one of the few guys that still has that upside. And the next 3 weeks are not scary at all. You get Seattle, Tennessee, and Indianapolis. Those are 3 teams that you can probably move the ball against pretty well. And they also just have yet to really face an offense that could put up points on them. Like in Week 1, they won the game handily without having to do a lot on offense. In Week 2, they had a defensive score, were up super early and just leaned on their running game. Then in Week 3 against the Niners, it was just a defensive struggle. The Niners had a backup quarterback. They didn't need to go into pass mode. This the whole we haven't seen the Cardinals have to air it out at all yet, and I still think we're going to see some of that going forward. This is not a team that I expect to be just dominating games up 2 scores in the second half all the time. Like, this is a team that's going to have to throw the ball, and they also just lost James Conner, so again, they're going to have to throw the ball more going forward. I doubt they're going to be able to lean on Trey Benson the way they did with James Conner, and there are a lot of people that are in quarterback purgatory right now. I've got a team where, I've been cycling between I had Brock Purdy, and then I went to Justin Fields, and I started Jared Goff last week, and I'm basically 0 for 3 in terms of being happy with my quarterback output so far this season. So, like, if you're that team in your league, it makes a lot of sense just to look at Kyler, because I think he's a guy that has the weekly ceiling that you can sort of trust him in your lineup every single week, even though he's not going to be fantastic. And then I do think there's a path towards him sort of turning the corner, having a really great rest of the season, and being really good for us for fantasy, and he is a guy that I still feel pretty confident about finishing in the top 10 by the end of the year here. So that'll do it for my trade targets in Week 4. Up next, I'll be going over 5 players that I'd be looking to sell high in Week 4. So if you haven't subscribed or haven't been with the channel very long, I do a waiver video, a buy low, a sell high, and then 2 start sit videos every single week. So there's 5 videos every single week. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of that, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Click the bell so you get notifications as I put out new videos. Typical schedule is waiver video Tuesday morning, buy lows Wednesday morning, sell high comes out like midday Wednesday, and then like Wednesday night or Thursday morning, you guys will get the first start sit, and then Friday morning or Saturday morning, depending on when I get to it, you guys will get the second start video. So make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss that. If you guys have any specific trade questions, let me know in the comments below. I'd love interacting with you guys there. It's part of what makes this a lot of fun for me. And then, of course, if you haven't already, if you've made it this far in the video, just give it a thumbs up. It helps me out quite a bit. It just helps me know that you guys are enjoying the content like this. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys, and I will catch you guys with the next one. Peace, guys. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter @RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.